The build process of the studio barely took like 15 days.
Okay.
But to get to that point, it took like 15 years. Corporate life. There was one point where I really wanted to do this. Good question. The turning point. And then I wanted to take this major leap. And what's the first priority? My own studio.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for coming to MediaCast podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So, hi everyone. Today we are at that studio and we have here Ameer with us today. So, let's just jump right in.
Yeah.
Okay. So, besides talking about the studio first, let's get to know you. So, who is Ameer and who is the man behind this dream?
Ameer is someone who has always been like passionate about music, like who always like caught in between two worlds of music, the creative and the technical side. So while I enjoyed listening to music and making music, I was equally fascinated about the technology behind it, the synthesizers, the equipment, the analog gear and stuff. And with that, I also had the privilege of getting into the music tech industry, working with some of the most prominent bands in the world. And right now here we are with my own studio.
That's awesome. That's really good to know. Well, you mentioned it, that studio. So I really want to know the name and the vision behind that studio. Usually people, when they open up a recording studio or a dream, they usually have the idea behind, or they were passionate about a certain aspect that allowed them to choose a name.
Yeah.
So what was yours?
Honestly, the name and the concept has nothing to do with each other.
Okay.
So the name is something that came out of nowhere, but the concept, the vision has been there for a while. So the first thing I would like to mention that this is not a recording studio. If you go to a studio anywhere in the world, that one thing that you will see, you will not see it here, a microphone.
Yeah.
There's no microphone. I don't have a microphone in my catalog because this place is more about letting your inner thoughts out. Not the songwriter, the musician having like the music producer version of you. That's why I have all this gear for anyone who wants to come and try. They can just record their own sounds.
So basically a think tank for artists to come and try music.
Yep.
Great. That's nice. That's very creative. Really nice. I really want you to imagine closing your eyes, okay, and walk us through the building process of that studio, like from the beginning until the execution stage, and just walk us through all the different steps, the decision making, how hard was it, all of this. So I really want to.
It was very hard. The build process of the studio barely took like 15 days, but to get to that point, it took like 15 years. Ever since I got into the field of music, because 15 years back, I always wanted to have a studio on my own. That's number one. That's where it all started. And then with time, you learn new things and you evolve. I evolved as a producer, as a musician, as a songwriter, and also as a mixing engineer. I evolved and I got to a point where I realized what I actually need to have in my studio. If I'm having a studio, it has to be like this. That's when the vision started. And then I was in the music tech industry dealing with brands and MI tech. And then at one point, I had to fulfill my dream, which is my own studio. So it's better late than never. So I decided to take the major leap and move forward.
Great. So this leap of faith that you took, okay, in this step-by-step process, where did MediaCast come into the picture?
That was like 3 years back. So I moved to Dubai like 4.5 years back, and then I was living in like shared spaces with friends, and I cannot use speakers. It's a limitation. So I had to use my headphones for everything. And the day we got our own apartment, that's when I got my first pair of speakers, and that was LYD 5 from Dyne Audio, because Dyne Audio has been like my all-time favorites from day one. Ever since I got into music scene, like I knew about the speakers, but I never had access to. And then these speakers was my first purchase, and I had this pair, like my small studio set up in my living room. So I cannot do anything with acoustics, so I got a ARC studio to get the best of the speakers, and that's how it all started with MediaCast.
Right, that was a perfect bridge to the brands, okay? And something about MediaCast audience doesn't know, but we know when we work a lot with our partners, we understand their soft spots and their obsessions, okay? So really, what did draw you into the different brands that you have here, and are you really enjoying, and what are you enjoying the most?
Number one, the monitoring system that I have, the speakers. The 9 audio speakers, that made a huge difference with my mixes. I'll be honest with you, because I can clearly show a difference between the before and after. Like my clients and clients, like how they enjoyed my music, how they liked my outcome before I got the 9 audios, and after, there's a complete difference. So yeah, it added something major to my setup. And number two would be the ARC Studio, because like what's the point of having good speakers if you don't have good calibration? Because my room is not a purpose-built studio. The walls are made out of brick and mortar, so there will be absorption and reflection bounce backs. So it's not a room within a room. So we have to manage. I have to manage the resources that I have. So ARC Studio is doing an amazing job calibrating the soundscape for the room. And then of course the warm audio bus compressor and the 1176. The compressor that I actually needed was the bus compressor, because it added that analog warmth to my sound. But the 1176 is my overall obsession. I love that compressor. I had like multiple versions of plugins from multiple brands, and then I really wanted to have the analog version of it. So that's when warm audio came into the picture, and I'm using it. It's not just there for display. I use it on vocals a lot,
On the
and also on the Moog.
Great, that's nice. So this strategic choice of the brands, okay, that you just mentioned now, really makes up an important and fundamental part of your gear journey. And that actually leads us to our next question, which is, what would you like to add in the future in your gear journey? Because this is literally just the start, I can see.
Yeah.
I'm sure more will come, so.
A lot more will come. More than, I would say I might like get Universal Audio plugins as well, because I want to bridge the gap between analog and digital. So UAD plugins, they are in my bucket list, and also some hardware equalizers.
All right, so let's tense it a little bit and talk about the challenges. Okay, the hardest part in building this great studio here, that studio. Really, what pushed you back, and how did you overcome that?
Corporate life.
Okay.
So I was a 9 to 5 junkie. I loved my job. I'll be honest with you, I loved my job, but there was one point where I really wanted to do this. I really wanted to have my own studio and get to that point. So I was like, I had to do this somehow. And then I reached a point where I got motivated out of nowhere to start something, and I had multiple choices. And then that's when I decided to take this leap and start the studio. So it's better late than never.
Yeah. Actually, I heard this a lot, this quote, better late than never. It comes back a lot. And I really just wanted to understand the exact moment in your life when you just stood up and said, that's it. This is not going to be a passion anymore. This is something that I'm going to live every day of my life. When was that moment for that studio?
Good question. The turning point. So I mentioned before that I was a 9 to 5 junkie, right? I used to be in corporate, but I wanted to have a studio on my own. And then I just woke up one day, I'm being honest with you, and then I wanted to take this major leap. Like, I want to get out of corporate, and I want to start something on my own. And what's the first priority? My own studio. Something that I wanted to start for a long time. So that's how it went from 9 to 5 to 24/7.
All right, so at MediaCast podcast, we play this game, which is keep, change, and add. Keep, change, add concept. What would you keep, okay, in your journey? What would you have changed if you were to do this all over again? And what would you add?
I would keep the same setup.
Same setup, same vision.
Because same vision, because this was in my dream. And in order to build the studio, I actually got assistance from AI, because I couldn't hire interior designers. So I got assistance from AI, and I replicated like 90% of it, because that was my vision. I did it, so I would keep it the same way. And what I would add, so many things. But I would remove nothing.
You would remove nothing. And actually, guys, we'll be putting a great vision board from Ameer to show you exactly the idea he had in mind of the studio, and it's literally a copy paste, and he did a very good job. So that's actually very inspiring for anyone who wants to start their own recording studio. So that's great. It's good to know that this is, of course, going to bring in more and more. We're coming to an end, okay? And before we leave, someone right now is watching this and has a dream, okay, but is not taking that leap or is still planning to take the leap. So really, what would you like to say to the people watching, or to this one person who wants to also start their own recording studio?
Don't think twice. Just do it.
Better late than never.
Better late than never. Yeah. Just do it.
That's our show for today. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time with us. We truly hope you enjoyed the conversation. Until next time, and we'll see you in the next episode.